Welcome to the Tradie Wife Life podcast, brought to you by Tradies in Business, where we talk to tradie wives about their goals, their challenges, their hopes and dreams, and how their trade business can help with that. Welcome back, listeners. You are listening to yet another episode of Tradie Wife Life, where I am joined today by another of our amazing clients. You're going to get a few of these over the next couple of months, and historically, we've done quite a few as well. And the reason I bring some of our tradie wives to you is, well, A, we have an existing relationship, so I don't have to twist their arm too much to come and join me on the show. And B, I know their journeys. I've had the opportunity to spend some time with them, to get to know them, to enjoy their journey. And I know that there's some goodness in what they have to bring for you listening on your journey, so that you can see that you're not alone. I think one of the biggest troubles when I first started out as a tradie wife was I didn't know anyone else in my position that was doing the things that I was doing. I didn't know where I could go or what I could turn it into. And I think that's a great opportunity for us here on the podcast, is to be able to share as many stories as we can so you can find a space that fits for you. And that's very much what we're talking about today. Rachel, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. This has been a long time coming. And with a little one and another one on the way, it can be very hard to make some time in your schedule to spend half an hour or so with me. Rachel, I'm really excited to talk to you today because you are balancing motherhood, a business and a career, and somehow you're making time for all three. And that's really something I'd love to focus on today. But can you start by telling us a little bit about you and Tyson and your journey in business to this point?
Yeah, of course. We knew very early on in our relationship that Tyson wanted to start his own business. It was one of those doors that we tried to open ourselves by finding our own premises and somewhere to start from scratch. And it just never eventuated until end of 2021. Through a series of events, Tyson met with a local business owner here on the Sunshine Coast and was able to purchase his mechanical business. And that was all, it all happened very quickly and it has gone very well to plan. We have changed the business in many ways to be more suitable for what we want. It started off as a one-man band and we've got 4 employees now. But yeah, that was the beginning. We have spent a lot of time planning. Before we had our little girl, we spent a lot of time, the two of us, just planning what we wanted our life to look like and how the business was going to help us to achieve our personal goals. I think my involvement probably began just wanting to spend some time with my husband, and he was so busy. So I would sit with him of a night time and we'd do different things together. But yeah, it's eventuated into us both having different roles than in the beginning. Tyson now actually sees himself as a business owner and not just a mechanic. And I see myself, I'm almost there. My mindset has almost got to seeing myself as part of the business and not just helping out. Because I do have my career. I'm an occupational therapist. I work part-time at the moment. I often split, well, that's his job and this is my job, but no, I'm a part of both. Yeah, so that's kind of our story. Yeah.
You guys have made a lot of change in a very small period of time. We're talking about 3 years, almost 3 years that you guys have been in business together.
Yeah, 3 years next month.
And there is a huge amount of change. And I know we've been working together for quite a fair while of that time that you guys have embarked on this journey. And I believe, knowing the two of you as well as I do, you must have had some clear goals or some agreements that you made prior to purchasing the business about where you want it to take you or what you might want it to look like. Did you have those early discussions and make some firm boundaries or some firm goals, or was it something that sort of eventuated once you're in?
I think it eventuated once we were in. I remember the first 6 months of Tyson owning the business, he didn't really make any changes. He was just kind of running it as the previous business owner ran it. But in that time, we had a lot of discussions, and he did a lot of personal learning through podcasts and looking at other business owners and how other mechanic workshops were being run. Um, that he came up with ideas. I think as well, he's worked in quite a few different workshops himself, and saw how things worked and some things didn't work. And
Mhm.
so it was probably those first 6 months figuring it out. And then I think once we joined the trades and business program, that's when I stepped in and just started to listen to the podcast, listen to the coaching sessions, and then um, tried to offer my 2 cents.
I think there's a great opportunity for us to talk about how you got started in the business. So, back then you had a full-time career. This was something that you were doing full-time. That's changed a bit in the last couple of years as you've welcomed your first child and soon to welcome another. And I wonder if you can tell us a bit about you and Tyson have a fantastic relationship. You get along really well. You are extremely respectful of one another. And I don't think you will have had too many. I'm putting words in your mouth here, so maybe I won't say that. I'm going to pull that back because I don't know what it was like. I can't imagine the two of you tripping over each other too much in the very beginning. And it had to have been a big decision for you to decide to take from one career to give to another. Can you tell us a bit about that journey and how you began?
Yeah, sure. You're right. We are very respectful of each other, and I think we're very aligned in our personal goals and where we want to see ourselves in, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. We have very similar values as well. Initially, my start in the business was just wanting to spend time with him and help out because I could see how busy he was doing invoicing until 11 o'clock. We didn't have any of that personal quality time, so just wanted to assist. And then when I went on maternity leave, I was able to give a bit more of my time. And that's when we started really putting some systems into place. My role is managing all the finances. I don't do the invoicing or the taking phone calls because I just don't have the mechanical knowledge. Um, but just I think it's more about keeping Tyson accountable of his own goals
Mhm.
and our own personal goals and where we want to see ourselves, especially for our family.
That's
Um,
fantastic. I think you guys are really clear on what your goals are and where you're headed, and knowing that your business is the vehicle that you can get you from A to B is incredible. And yet most of us get stuck in the just got to work harder to create the outcome that we're looking for. Whereas you guys have started really early because you're both very young. Well, at least compared to little old me. And you've started really young, being having real clarity around that. Was that how did that come to be, Rachel? Was it did you guys make those decisions? Were you guided by somebody? I know that you have some business owners within your family as well. Did this all come about through everybody's guidance, or how did that happen for you?
I wouldn't say there's one specific person that has given us guidance, but both of us have parents that own businesses. So Tyson grew up on dairy farm.
Mhm.
My parents own an accounting and financial planning business, and we have seen firsthand things that work and the things that don't. But we also have seen the flexibility that you can have as a business owner for your family, and to be able to even financially create the life that you want for your kids and set yourself up that way. So that was probably something that helped us to make those decisions on how we wanted our business to run. Um, and it's really I think it's really important that we probably guided each other too, because we both have our own personal goals. Tyson loves being a mechanic. He loves working on project cars. So to create a business where now he spends 1 day a month working on his own project car, that wouldn't have been possible 12 months ago without the work that we put in. Mm.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about how the business has evolved? So you've just given a perfect demonstration of how working on some of that on the business stuff has started to create some space for each of you. But it's changed a lot. You know, your first 6 months, Tyson is solo in the business. He's working super hard, up at 11 o'clock at night, doing invoicing, etc. What can you tell us about the evolution? So what sort of at what point did you put on the first team member? How did you decide what kind of team member that should be? And then talk us through to where you are now in terms of your team.
Yeah, of course. So our daughter was due at the end of June last year, 2023. So we knew that, well, I knew that I would like Tyson home for 2 weeks when she was born. And so we wanted to find an employee that could just work on the tools while he was at home. With our family. And so we employed our first mechanic in May, and he has been an absolute gem for our team as a first employee. His personality and his values, they just align so well with us. Tyson often has a joke with him. He's hardworking, and I would recommend anyone to employ based on personality, not on skill. And so our first employee didn't have the skills that we needed really at that time. So we did employ a second mechanic in October
Mhm.
of last year, 2023. And we didn't anticipate that we would need so many employees so quickly.
Yeah.
Once we started growing, we grew. Um, and so Tyson was in the office full time, but also on the tools. And
Yeah.
we could see then, we had goals. My goal initially was Tyson no invoicing at night.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to transition that to Tyson being on the phone all the time and getting the invoices done during the day. And somehow that it didn't work. And then there was someone that Tyson knew locally who was hitting us up about a we call him our customer service administrator, but
Mhm.
he was on the phones for another workshop and wasn't enjoying it there. And so we invited him to join our team, and he came to us in June of this year.
Mhm.
Um, and I say it's been the most amazing change, because without him, Tyson wouldn't have been able to transition to being a business owner, as in having that mindset. Um, and yeah, he's taken on a lot of the um, phone system, invoicing, bookings, managing parts, and freed up Tyson to make a lot of those on the business decisions
Mhm.
and work during work hours. And yeah, so that was June. And then Uh, must have been middle of July. We hired a second year apprentice, and he's been amazing as well. We just needed someone to do all of those little jobs, free up the other mechanics, and he's been great. He's such a quick learner, hard worker, and yeah, I really love our little team at the moment. It's it's hard to believe that, yeah, I think it must be nearly 18 months ago that it was just Tyson. Mm.
That's fascinating, isn't it? You guys have done a really great job of attracting the right kind of people to your business to work with you. What do you contribute that to?
Oh, it's been hard. We're looking for someone now at the moment, and yeah, not having a lot of luck. I think it's a lot of patience,
Mm.
because a lot of people will apply for the position without the right qualifications, or not in the right area, as in we get a lot of overseas applicants.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
our first employee, he joined us from Cairns. He moved down from Cairns. It's all about personality. If You've got to make sure that their values will align with your business. And I think having the right process, the right screening questions, the right interview questions, and then a trial day to see how they interact with your other team members. I think they're all really important things.
Yeah, I love your advice about hiring for personality. It's a big thing that we talk about frequently here because if you've got the right personality and you're the right fit, it's very quick and easy to give somebody the skills that they require to do the job that you need them to do. And I think that that's often, even when you read through the advertisements on Seek, for example, they're often talking about the skills required rather than talking about the personal attributes. And you're spending more time with these people generally than you are with your own family. It's important that you have some alignment with them to make it work, or it just doesn't. And in your case, you guys have done a fantastic job of that because you have that cohesion across your entire team. And that's really hard to achieve. I wonder, Rachel, so typically an office-based position would be considered non-productive. So non-productive, not necessarily within their role, but financially non-productive. I think that's a crock. I believe they're very productive. And you've already spoken a bit about the impact it's had on Tyson's time. And it can be a really hard decision to make to put a non-productive, nobody can see me doing air quotes, but I'm doing air quotes every time I say a non-productive, but a non-productive team member on. Can you talk us through that decision for you guys and maybe what it was based on to put that team member on in the first place?
Yeah, I guess our going into business was never about money for us. It was about lifestyle and flexibility. So that's probably the thing that drives the decisions that we make. So having our customer service admin guy means that Tyson can be home and present with our family. And that's the lifestyle that we wanted. So um, not only is Tyson freed up to bring the money into the business in other ways, but having the invoicing and the bookings completed on the day means we're also getting paid the same day, which we never were before. I was chasing people up, weeks after invoices were sent, and that was draining and not great for our cash flow. So now having someone in the office full time at the desk all the time it is good for our cash flow. It's good for our business.
Rachel, I think that making some of those decisions can be really tough and often needs to come with a case forward. Can you remember when perhaps whose idea it was to put your administration team members' position in place in the first place? And why is it an external person and not necessarily you? What is it? What about those decisions have influenced the way it is currently?
So it he came to us.
Yep.
It wasn't a decision that we were like, oh, we need to put a job ad out for this position. So that's probably why we went yes, because we were like, oh, let's just meet him and see, what he's about and how he can help our business. And yeah, that was probably both of us were like, why don't we just try it?
Mm,
And we knew going into it that it would be new and that we would have to change how we do things, create more systems. Tyson needed to get more out of his head and onto, our program or onto paper for him to be able to do his job the best he can. And we're still working on that.
mm.
Um, yeah, I think if he hadn't have come to us in that way, I'm not sure where we'd be right now.
Fascinating, isn't it? Because most people wouldn't even look at an opportunity that they hadn't visualized or conceptualized themselves. And this is one of those ones that could be very hard to make that decision because it can feel like as I say, a non-productive team member. They're not generating an income. Some of the biggest conversations we have with tradiepreneurs are around when do they put on an administration person? They're absolutely drowning. They can't get out there to do the stuff that's going to increase the value in the business or to bring in new business because they're drowning in administration. But there's a real fear around that person not being able to draw or create their own income. And yet I believe they do really quickly because of the time savings or the cost savings or the morale that they bring because stuff is actually being completed instead of hanging over for a long period of time. For example, the invoicing and being able to do that on the same day and getting paid, that's a massive benefit to your cash flow. It also reduces your stress loads because you're not jumping on the phone, ringing people that have probably forgotten about the bill or believe they already paid it. So then there can be a terse conversation. That's stuff that none of us need. And yet we tend to drag the chain on some of those opportunities available to us. Rachel, I would love to talk about your part in the business and where you think it might go for you.
Yeah, sure. Well, just coming back to what you were just saying about where with the admin guy, Tyson probably always anticipated he would be that person. And I knew that I would never be that person because I just don't have the diagnostic knowledge and it's not my passion. It's not something that I wanted to learn.
Mm,
So for my position in the business, it's eventuated into I look at all of the numbers. So I look at our productivity of our employees. I do back costing to make sure that we've got good profit margins and finding what where we might be losing money to improve on. I do the reconciling, the bookkeeper type jobs, and with Tyson, I have directors meetings every week that we try and keep on top of our goals and our fires. So the things that might be going wrong at the time, and I try and support Tyson to put systems in place so that those things don't happen again, if possible. Um, yeah, like I said, I work 2 days, 2 big days as an OT, and so fitting all of those other little things, I say they're little, but sometimes can be quite consuming.
mm,
The quarterly BAS and super and all of those things. I've just fit them into my daughter's nap times.
mhm,
So that's kind of my role. I don't really see it eventuating much further than that.
mhm,
I do really enjoy my role in the business. However, I can't see myself learning enough in the mechanical space to go much further than um, doing the bookkeeping side of things. Tyson and I have talked about HR,
mhm.
managing our employees. However, at this point in time, I think being a male dominated space, we're just not ready to venture into that yet. Our employees have a lot of respect for Tyson. He's there every day. So we're still weighing up whether or not it would be profitable for me to step into that space and support our team, doing our fortnightly one-on-ones and then we do the alternate fortnightly team meetings. I'm kind of just in the background.
It can be hard to find the right space. And then, of course, you guys have got such a young family and a growing family as well. Um, Understanding we have absolutely, and you've experienced this once now, you've got absolutely no idea what's going to happen with your family when they're born and how that's going to change the family dynamics and how much time will you actually have available. And then every child is different. So it changes when you have another. How have you guys navigated? So there's probably a couple of questions here. Firstly, keeping business and home life separate, is that something that you guys are successful at? And if you are, how? And then how has the business impacted the amount of time that you anticipate that Tyson and you can spend as a family as you continue to grow?
Okay, so first question, business and the home life was not separate for Tyson before our daughter was born. That was a big thing that we worked to change. It wasn't a huge thing as she was a newborn because she had no idea what was going on, but she's getting older now, and the routine of dad coming home, dinner, bath, reading books, bed, that is really important.
Mhm,
And so it started off as task you need to leave your work phone on the charger. You can't touch it while she's awake.
mhm,
And then it moved to task and leave your work phone off or leave it in your van, or then it's leave it at the workshop. He doesn't even bring it home now.
Wow.
And then it's, Tyson invoicing needs to be done during work hours. So the progression of the business has allowed for that business home separation to be more successful than it's ever been. And that was probably just me pushing, feeling like I was doing it on my own. And he's amazing now. He comes home and I don't have to ask him to turn his phone off or stop replying to a customer or whatever it is. He's super present with our family. We do have 2 nights a week where we sit after dinner and we'll go through some of the things that I can't do without him, just little questions I might have, or we'll talk about the progression of the business, or we'll talk about things that have gone wrong and how we can improve, or our monthly goals, those kind of things. But it's gone from, 5 nights a week to 2, which is really good. Yeah. And I think the time that we spend on the business, we spent a lot of time between when we started, well, the 6 months in, so mid 2022 to when our daughter was born, mid 2023. So 12 months, we spent a lot of, like almost every night, the two of us after work would sit and plan. We rebranded our business. We wrote organizational charts of how we would like to see our business evolve. We set up templates, we set up systems together, and without all of that work put in before we had a family, it would look very different now. And we both say all the time, we're so grateful we started that work before we had a family. And also our mindset probably changed then too, to know that, we're not working for the sake of working. Our business is it's a way that we can get the life that we want as well. So yeah, moving forward, I think we're really grateful that we started when we did, because we know that maybe by the time that our kids are a little bit older and maybe at school, that Tyson might be able to take, the afternoons off to be with our family. We can potentially take weeks off and our business run on its own. Which, yeah, we do that once a month, a Friday once a month. Our business runs by itself. We don't really, Tyson's there for troubleshooting, but the boys respect him to have that personal time, which is great. Yeah, we hope that our team continue to stay with us and we try our best to keep them happy.
I
But yeah.
think you guys do a great job of keeping them happy. Rach, it's not all smooth sailing. There's always some bumpy parts. Can you talk us through any of those curveballs you might have faced in the last couple of years?
I feel like we haven't had a lot of big curveballs, haven't been huge things, but we have had some small things that accumulate. We've had instances where, our employee has not made a wise decision. We've had a car fall off the hoist, which could have ended really seriously. Thankfully, no one was hurt. We've had to put in a lot of changes when that happened. As business owners, you really want to make sure that the customer's happy and the employees are safe and happy as well. So that was probably something that opened our eyes a little bit. Probably having one of our employees not meet our criteria and having to seriously performance manage him. That was a big thing for us in the last 6 months as well, 6 to 12 months, having to decide what it's okay and what we don't want to tolerate, and put in those boundaries, especially when his attitude was influencing our other team members. Yeah, I think they're probably the biggest ones and then all the little everyday things that, we do call our customers to get feedback. It's, about timely implementing that feedback
Mm.
and improving things in a timely way. Um, yeah, I think Tyson and my relationship has changed a lot too. We do understand, when you have a baby, your relationship changes, but I think him being able to have that flexibility and for me to yeah, spend little bits of time here and there together
Mm.
and to know that it's not always going to be hard. We're putting in the hard effort and the hard work now should make it easier in the future. Like when we have our next bubby in the new year, that we will have a lot more in place
Mm.
to be a lot more prepared this time around.
As prepared as you can be, because they always throw curveballs, don't they? Where do you see you two? I think that you guys are quite certain about your goals and where you'd like to take the business. What's coming for you in the next 5 years?
Um, I guess Tyson and I haven't wanted to create a big business. We don't want to be one of the big guys. So keeping our business smaller or small to medium, that can be profitable for us, allow Tyson the time that he needs to achieve the things that we want as a family. Yeah, I think in the next 5 years we're probably planning to expand potentially into a second location
Mhm.
and hiring a few more employees. We're not sure whether we will be in the position to purchase a workshop. We have pushed on that door a couple of times in the last 6 months, but yeah, just the small growing. I think we would like to keep achieving that. And also, we want to renovate our home. So, how the business can help us do that would be great. Just to, yeah, make our home a little bit more comfortable for us growing as a family.
Love it. Rachel, if you open a second location, I nearly demand that it needs to be close to me so that you can take care of my cars too, please. You're far too far away from me, or maybe I need to move, one or the other. Rachel, it's been a joy to talk to you today. Thank you for sharing so much of your story. Rachel and Tyson have a business called My Mobile Mechanic up on the Sunshine Coast. These guys are doing amazing things in their business. They're both so young, but they're motivated. They work very, very hard, very honest people, which I think goes a long way for customer confidence, particularly when it comes to mechanics. But I think tradies in general are all tarred with the same brush. And I love the way you guys are really pushing against some of those boundaries. Thank you so much for spending half an hour with me, Rachel. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
An absolute pleasure.